Hello, my name is Brianna Becker and I'm a senior human development major here at CSULB. On behalf of the Human Sexuality 425 course, I'm here to present to you some information regarding sexual development throughout life, focusing specifically on early adulthood. I believe it's important to first discuss who early adulthood applies to. For this discussion, I will be referring to Erikson's psychosocial stages of development in order to outline who belongs to the early adulthood category. According to Erikson, the sixth stage of psychosocial development is young adulthood and can range from ages of 19 to 40. This stage deals specifically with the psychosocial conflict of intimacy versus isolation. Prior to entering this stage, the individual will have established his or her identity in the identity versus role confusion stage of Erikson's theory, and will now be expected to focus on forming intimate relationships. A huge part of these intimate relationships involves sexual intimacy, and this is where we have an opportunity to look at this stage of our lives from a sexual development perspective. Sexual development relies on many psychosocial influences. Some of the larger contributors include parental influence, peer influence, the media, and religiosity. These influences are outlined in our text. However, I would like to focus specifically on peer influence and the search for intimacy in early adulthood. Peer influence in early adulthood for our cohort will revolve heavily around the hookup culture, so infamously associated with college students. There are four main moral standards of sexuality among college students, but the standard commonly found in the college hookup culture is permissiveness without affection, and involves having sexual relationships with people even if there is no affection or commitment. In this standard, more restrictions are placed on women, men are less likely to be condemned for having uncommitted sexual relationships, and those who are homosexual or transgender feel liberated and more accepted. The type of peer influence one experiences in the college environment will weigh heavily on their already established values and standards. But because college is a time where many reevaluate their identity while simultaneously trying to solve the intimacy versus isolation conflict, sexual standards often change. A potential result of this type of sexual behavior is the increased risk of contracting STDs. The CDC estimates that nearly half of the 20 million STDs diagnosed each year are among the younger adult population. In order to help prevent the spread and contraction of STDs, you can find free resources located at the Student Health Services on campus. Because early adulthood is marked by the quest for intimacy and spans such a wide age range, some people may not see this stage of sexual development in their college years, in which case they would enter into singlehood. Men and women involved in the singles world typically range in the age from 25 to 40. Single adults are typically working or looking for work, have never been married, or are divorced and usually do not provide primary care for the children if they are present. Sexual development definitely continues in this stage of life, and there also happens to be a huge industry surrounding this age group, aiming to help satisfy their intimate desires before time runs out on their biological clock. Their peer groups are no longer limited to work or friends. There is an extensive network of online dating, clubs, and singles groups that meet the needs of intimacy-seeking individuals post-formal education. It is important to remember that not all individuals will fit into the stereotypical sexual development mold, and the time at which satisfaction of Erikson's young adult conflict occurs will be unique to each individual. An even less specific definition of development provided by Freud in his psychosexual model tells us that our sexual development is ongoing throughout our entire lifespan. Once we enter young adulthood after puberty, the person's concern shifts from instinct to applying more sophisticated thought processes to gratify desires symbolically and intellectually. We do this through friendships, love relationships, family, and adult responsibilities. Included in these desires are those based on our sexual development, and how we satisfy those desires will greatly depend on our identity, and how the stages leading up to identity are synthesized. Sexual development is a lifelong process which encompasses many facets of our lives. Today I've touched on a very specific topic relating to sexual development of early adulthood, but there is much more to learn, and I encourage you to pursue a higher knowledge about sexual development. Thank you.